I like to be collaborative, and I've always taken everybody in the business on the journey with me.
I suppose we're at risk of putting people off who are thinking of starting a business, but both you and I have, and millions of others have too. It's incredibly rewarding, but you can't expect it to be easy.
And I think also by nature, a lot of people that run their own businesses, they're very driven.
Well, it's kind of incumbent on us all to try and learn from other people's mistakes before, right? Otherwise, we're just going to repeat history.
I think if you are driven by giving value to your customers, then you're always going to, that's resilience in itself.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, David.
Morning.
Good morning.
You travelled all the way to Shrewsbury to come and see us?
Yes, from sunny Leicestershire.
Sunny Leicestershire. First time Shrewsbury?
Yes, I know the area, but I've never been to the town itself.
Oh, well, hopefully you have a bit of a chance to walk around before you leave.
Yeah.
All the Tudor buildings. And
yes.
They say that the most famous thing about it is, I think, all the independent shops. They tend to promote that quite a lot. We don't have any chains here.
No, that's good.
Mind you, not a lot of towns have got many chains, really, of the big type anymore, the big department stores and things.
They've all moved out.
All moved out or out of business now because of online. But yeah, it's quite good here, a variety of shops. So
yeah,
hopefully you get a chance to look around that.
Yeah.
And what's the town like where you come from? Is that a small village or
small market town, Market Bosworth?
Yeah.
Famous for the Battle of Bosworth. 1485, I think.
See, that's good you can remember that, because I can't remember when the Battle of Shrewsbury was.
Well, it was the last time the English crown changed hands in battle, as the Battle of Bosworth.
Oh, is that right?
Richard III.
Gosh, there you go. We could do a history podcast
we
now,
could.
couldn't
I think you've just exhausted my knowledge.
Oh, you didn't have to say that. We could have carried on there and I would have cut you off as the expert on the Battle of Bosworth. Saved you that. Good. Well, should we do a podcast?
Let's do it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow. We're up to 135 episodes. Today is 135. And in time on tradition, I'll run you through the previous three in a minute. But I want to introduce you briefly to my guest for today. Standing in instead of Richard, I've got Stephen Brown here.
Hello.
Stephen or Steve?
Either. Steve
Brown here. Steve's come to us today. Steve and I met a long time ago in professional circles, just in terms of the service you provide and all that, and we've kept in touch. And it just so happens that Steve's decided to write some of his collective wisdom down into a book to give something back and to tick off a bucket list item. So I thought, well, no better reason than ever to come in and have a chat about that.
Yeah,
so we thought we'll do that in a moment and give a bit of your background and how did you get to here and why that book and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting into that.
Yeah, thank you.
All around the subject of starting a business and the good news and the bad news and the pitfalls and all the lessons learned. So looking forward to that. So let me just run through the previous three episodes then that we talked about in the last 3 weeks. So as I said earlier, this is episode 135. Episode 134 last week was finance for non-financial managers. And I can't believe it's taken us this long to get around to that topic, because that is one of the most common courses, books, online resources that you find. And largely, I think, driven by the imposter syndrome feeling that lots of senior execs, directors, maybe even managing directors have when they get into these senior positions. They don't necessarily like to admit that they don't know so much about finance. So we did an episode on that so that in half an hour you can know your P&L from your balance sheet. The week before that, episode 133, Rich and I were telling you some of our experiences of using a new type of software that's come out called vibe coding, which is where you get software to write software just by using natural language to talk to it, and it creates this software for you. So we ran through some examples of that, and Steve and I were talking about that earlier, about how this could really present a great opportunity for small and medium-sized businesses to compete on more than equal footing with bigger firms, because they're more able and more nimble to pick this sort of stuff up. And then the one before that is another sort of imposter syndrome-y thing. We did an episode 132 on how to sell your business, especially around MBOs and how you get financing for that. And once again, lots of senior execs we find don't really know about how funding works in terms of business purchases, M&A, that type of stuff, business valuations, what the process is. So we thought we'd do a subject on that. We had a guest in from that, Oliver Wardlow, came in and talked to us a lot about his experiences in that area. So they were the three we had. So welcome again, Steve. Thanks for coming to join us today. So Steve has turned up today because he and I have known each other for some time. We've worked with each other through mutual clients, and your core business is around recruitment, and you were helping them, and we've worked with you on that. But really, as a result of you having access to lots of different businesses that you've worked with, and also your own, you decided that you wanted to distill all of this worldly knowledge and put it into a book.
Indeed.
Which is what you've done.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, we don't often promote books here, but this isn't something that's you're planning on making you a millionaire. This is more to give something back to the world. Very much so. So what triggered that then? Why did you decide that you had a book in you?
I think it's the book I wish I'd had, and the book that I see a lot of people that ask me for advice on. I don't do business advice per se. It's not my business, but
just in the pub when someone asks you.
But in the pub type of thing, or I get people phone me, friends of friends that are involved in a business, and they ask me what I would do. Yeah. And I suppose really it's all in the book kind of thing. It's the book that I wish I'd had. It's the book that I feel a lot of people should have. Yeah. It's more of a manual, a guide.
Right. Okay.
Something that can hold you.
So you must have looked around for other books on the market for this sort of thing, and there's so many millions of business books out there. But you felt this one hit a particular gap that didn't already.
I think retrospectively, I did. I believe that a lot of people, when they have that entrepreneurial itch and they start their business, they are so focused, or I believe they should be so focused, and they should be so intense on finding and serving customers, really, that finding time to read books might not be a luxury that they have.
Well, especially if you think there's so many out there, how do you pick the one? There could well be one that's suited for everybody, right? The book. But how would you know? How would you find it? So have you tried to write yours with a very broad audience in mind then?
No, I think my audience I'd had myself in mind at the time, really. There was a big tipping point in my business career, which was when I decided that if I was going to, I got my business to a very successful stage, but I wanted to sort of double it. And there's a sort of saying that I'd heard one of my customers say, it's gender specific, but it doesn't mean to be, which is, if you can't change the man, change the man. And that was a client that we were recruiting somebody for, who wanted us to get them an improved version of the person that we were replacing.
They tried to change that person first from within their own skin, and decided that wasn't going to work.
And I took that comment and I looked inwardly, and I thought, am I the person that got us here that will get us there? And I thought, well, I've got to give myself a chance. It is my business after all. And I went from being someone that was completely focused on my business and knew everything about it, but hadn't actually gone out of the four walls for a long time, other than just to.
How big was your business at this point?
At that point, we were probably turning over about £2 or £3 million. We'd got a healthy profit. I wanted to, exercise that and build that.
But you were still very much in the business, doing the day-to-day.
So. Yeah.
Did you have things like board meetings and some of that structure, or was it more just day-to-day, it was turning the handle?
At that point, it was a bit my way or the highway.
Okay. That's how a lot of entrepreneurs work, right?
I believe people that are still with me, that were with me then, of which there are many.
I can hear them chuckling as they listen to this now.
Yeah, or shaking their heads.
Rolling their eyes out loud.
I like to be collaborative, and I've always taken everybody in the business on the journey with me, because I don't have all of the answers. But I think collectively we didn't have all of the answers, because we'd all grown up together in that business. Yeah. And when we got to a certain size, none of us had ever run a business any bigger than where we were at that time.
This was it, right? This is what you did.
Yeah. So the idea of then doubling it, well, we'd certainly never run a business that big before. And I actually went online and looked for a course, and I had an idea that I wanted to do something like maybe an MBA. That was the notion I had. we recruit a lot of execs.
Yeah.
I looked at where they'd all done their
Of course,
MBAs.
you get to read an awful lot of CVs, right?
Yeah. And some very successful people had gone to
And
Cranfield.
speak to them. Oh, okay, so you knew that was well
I
regarded.
thought that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I went on the Cranfield website and
Yeah.
I read about all their MBAs and the kind of companies like PepsiCo that go on them. And I just thought, that's not me, is it? You know,
You're not a PepsiCo.
I'm not a PepsiCo. I'm not
Corporate.
even a Pepsi. So it's like
Just the co.
Yeah, I'll give them a call anyway, and I'll just explore what might or might not be available. And I phoned them and said, you know, I was thinking about your MBA, but it's not really the thing for me, and it's probably going to take me out of the business for too long. Really, I'm still required here. And they said, oh, you need the business growth program. It's designed for SME owners.
Yeah.
It's
a part-time sort of thing.
Part-time, 2 days a week, Friday and a Saturday every other week.
Still
for
quite
number
a
of
big
weeks.
time commitment then, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah,
every
especially when we all as owner managers feel that we need to be there 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, without the sky falling in.
How long did that course last then?
It
2
was
days a week?
it was over a period of 12 months, but there were big gaps in between where you went off and wrote a business plan and put all of their knowledge into action and so forth. And I think for me that was a bit of a tipping point. And then
So what triggered, there was this thought then, I'm interested at that point because listeners listening might well be at that point now and not realise it, right? They got to that, I want to double the business, and you said the phrase earlier, what got you here won't get you there, and I've heard that mentioned before. You reached this realisation that you needed to do something which your current trajectory wasn't going to get you there for, and you were looking for a solution. What was it that triggered the bit before that, the bit that says, I want to double the business and I can't do it the way I'm doing it?
Fear, security.
Right.
So we'd got a very healthy profit, and I thought, you know, if anything went wrong, like you lose a slightly bigger customer that you're rather too reliant on, or maybe there's a problem with a member of staff that you're quite reliant on, or whatever it might be, that could halve.
Yeah.
And I thought if I doubled what we've currently got, and then it halved.
You're just more insulated against risk.
I've still got the lifestyle that I have built and that I can still afford. And
I wonder if you ever run away far enough from that fear, because even then when you're twice the size, you think, I really need to be twice the size again.
You
and
probably need to stop spending.
Because as businesses grow, they attract an awful lot of fixed cost as well, don't they? So they become different risks occur.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, as you get bigger, then you're expected to do different things, and the whole HR management side becomes more of a problem and stuff. But anyway, that's what triggered it, and you thought, you go and do this course at Cranfield.
And then as a result of that, I also then joined a variety of different mastermind groups, and they usually had speakers that would come in and talk to us and
just lapped this all up and took notes
I was
frantically.
like an absolute sponge, and it became the thing that got me out of bed. Actually, it was this. I'd gone from
more so than running your business.
Yeah, it was because it was learning something that I could then put into practice. So it wasn't just knowledge for its own sake. It was.
So you must have had a period in your career then where you learned a lot at the beginning, and then through setting up your business every day at school day. But it sounds like you got to the point where it was not quite running itself, but you knew you were in charge of your realm. You knew how it all worked.
Yes.
You didn't need to learn new stuff to keep it as it was.
Yeah.
It was that challenge that you'd set yourself to double it in your case. That you thought, right, now I've got to do something different.
Yeah. And I think also by nature, a lot of people that run their own businesses, they're very driven. And when the business starts to tick over, they get bored.
Yeah.
And I think I was also probably at that point.
They like something new to do all the time. They like the variety, chase the shiny new toy.
Yeah.
So which of the mastermind groups, there's a few about that I think several people listening will maybe have dabbled in with.
Well, I continued the business growth program journey with a club. Well, they have a series of clubs.
Kind of an alumni
club that meets monthly. So I joined that, and that was brilliant. And
that's good,
I was in that for a long time. And then I met someone at a dinner, and they were a Vistage chair.
Yeah.
And Vistage is I think they call it a peer-to-peer advisory board.
Yeah, you've come across them before?
Yeah, and I was in Vistage for, I think, approximately 10 years as a member of a group. And again, just learned so much, and we had different members come and go in the group, and you were giving them advice a lot. And again, it kind of feeds back to this book in a way.
Yeah.
It's the kind of things I've written in there are the things that were discussed at these mastermind clubs.
And they'd have a speaker, like you say, every time, and a variety of different subjects.
Yes.
Both Richard and I have been to something similar, a spin-off, I think, from the Vistage Group called the Academy of Chief Execs, which eventually got bought back again by Vistage.
That's correct.
And we've carried on separately with different sort of self-help community businesses groups, which has been quite useful. So we're big advocates of it. It's interesting. You're the same.
Well, interestingly, when COVID hit, the first group of people that I picked the phone up to, and I had COVID, I was one of the early adopters.
Really? So got it early on.
I like to be at the front of every queue.
I might have done as well.
And I was feeling pretty rough, and we were suddenly gone from very busy to not much work on at all.
Because not many people were recruiting at the beginning of the lockdown. No.
And I thought, well, how can we maintain relevance without offering the service that nobody wants that we're very good at?
Yeah.
And the penny dropped when I was phoning all of my peer network and saying, what are you doing? And, how are you seeing this? And what do you think's going to happen? And when I looked at that list of people in my phone, they were all Cranfield or Vistage members. And I thought, my clients don't necessarily have access to that.
True.
So what can we do? And we started a Zoom call on a Monday afternoon where we just put the word out to a load of customers and, do you want to come and talk about these problems? And do you want to just air your fears? And
I guess some of that was related to the times we were going through. Have you heard about the latest change to the furlough scheme, or how are you coping with it? Some of it might have been just general business problems.
Well, we were very lucky that a lady called Helen Dyke, who was an employment lawyer for one of the big law firms in Birmingham, very generously gave her time every week. And we had people just queuing up to hear what she'd got to say about the latest.
You set up a really useful thing then.
Yeah, it was good.
So did that help plant the seed then of the idea of putting all this down in writing?
Now you say that, probably. It's all part of that compounding effect. Yeah. So
at the time, you couldn't have drawn a straight line between it, but looking backwards,
that's right.
It's probably quite influential.
Yeah. And now I think we're back to that point in the world where people want to collaborate again and they want to meet again. So we're actually now running HR forums for our customers to be able to come and share ideas and problems.
So it sounds like you've always wanted to share that and keep conversations going amongst people. This is just another way of doing that.
Yes, it's another channel of communication, really.
So I want to come on later on and ask you about the process of actually writing the book, because I think some people may well feel they have a book in them as well. But I can't skip over some of the content of the book. Have you got bits in there where you think if people only read that page or that chapter, where are the real diamonds in the book, do you think?
I think it's a lot about mindset. I think running a business and when you talk to anyone in these mastermind clubs that we've just been referring to, resilience, tenacity, learning to have grit. Yeah. I didn't start a business with any of those things. I was actually only 24. So, I was very driven, but crikey,
Did you have an example to follow? Someone you knew that had run a business before?
Yeah, I was quite lucky that there was a business that I span our business out of that had a chairman that acted as a mentor to me.
So having a mentor has been quite influential.
Yes, and I am also aware that not everybody that starts on their business journey has that person. And so again, the book is written as a mentor.
So you're not necessarily advocating that everybody needs to go and find one, although that would be useful. But if you haven't got one, find resources like this that might point you in the right direction.
Yes, I think when you read a book, you have a conversation with the author. So it's great to be able to have access to their knowledge and their experience. I love autobiographies for that very reason. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of incumbent on us all to try and learn from other people's mistakes before, right? Otherwise, we're just going to repeat history.
I absolutely agree with
that. I think we should all be mandated to take history at school, or at least I think politicians should. And it's amazing how many are ignorant of mistakes made in the past.
Yeah, but also in business and finance and we should do the economy.
Maybe in business we should all be taught about the business failures in the past, which I guess in MBAs is what they do partly with case studies and so on. But
I mean, the most profound book I've ever read that most other business books have some, I would say, emulate in some fashion or regurgitate in some fashion is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Interesting.
And that was written, I'm going to guess, I think, in the 1920s.
Right.
And he interviewed all of the successful business people of the time. So analogous to today, it would be Elon Musk and Bill Gates, etc., and Richard Branson, those sorts of people. But it was Edison and Ford. And the new thing that had just come out, the new technology of the time, was the radio. Well, we can say that the radio in the 90s was the internet, and the radio of today is AI.
Yeah.
So we've all got that new technology that's quite transformative. And I'd just recommend, if you don't read my book, read that one.
Read that one. And was that similarly about mindset then?
A lot about mindset.
That was quite an influential book for you then. It's
hugely
formed some of that.
And I make a point that I don't always manage, but I make a point of trying to reread that book on an annual basis.
Oh, really? And you find you always get something new from it and remind 100%. You of it?
100%. Yeah.
And you mentioned resilience there as well, and that's a topic that's cropped up in a few of our podcasts before, especially when guests and so on. What advice would you give people, given that it seems to be almost like an innate trait? You're either resilient or you're not. Is that true, or can you train yourself to be more resilient?
I think you learn it. I didn't consider myself an overly resilient person when I started my business.
Yeah.
But you soon, and let me tell you, the first few failures I had, I just thought they were catastrophic.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to cope with some of those failures emotionally. But I just did, and I moved on. And then I got a success, and then I carried on and had another success. And we talked about mentors. I had a mentor that was very good at teaching me about business, but 6 months into running my business with a £20,000 credit card bill, all on business expenses, and working 7 days a week and however many hours I could squeeze out of a day, I'd had enough and I was ready to pack it in. And a friend of mine took me to the pub and said, "How's it going?" And I said, "Awful. I'm going to go in on Monday morning and I'm going to pack it in, and I'm going to get a job."
So was that close? You were
I was literally there. Yeah. And I'll name check him because I owe him a great debt of gratitude. Yeah. His name's Dave Marriott. And Dave said, "No, we all really admire what you're attempting to do. Keep going." And I said, "Well, but it's all right for you. You've got a job with a blue chip company earning, decent money." Yeah. And he said, "No, stick it out. Where are you at with a variety of different projects?" And we broke it down in the pub. He's an engineer, so he's got a good
process
thinking, very much so. And we worked out that through my cloud of emotional tears, really, I could probably go another month. And if certain things happened, I might still have a business at the end of it, and I wouldn't be any worse off than the point we were currently at, drowning our sorrows. Yeah. And lo and behold, all those things fell into place, and here we are today,
well done,
30
Dave.
Years later.
Credit to David, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he gets that pint that you just promised him. He deserves that, doesn't he? Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like then the book is a whole load of different tips of advice from your own experience, but also from others as well.
Very much so, yeah.
And one of yours that you've added into it is this thing about mindset and resilience and so on. What's the best tip you've heard from someone else that you've taken inspiration from and repeated in your book?
Well, you've just said something that I wouldn't say I've originated anything that's in that book, really. I've experienced it and I've written it down and I've stolen with pride. Yeah. And, always do try and learn by other people's mistakes if you can. And I think, again, on the resilience side, one of the best quotes I ever heard was from a counsellor of Cranfield on the Business Growth Programme. "The darkest hour is always the hour before dawn." And I think I've been at that hour a few times in the last 30 years. Is that a Churchill quote? It very well could be.
I don't know. I'm going to be corrected by someone writing in now, I think. Yeah. It's a great phrase, though, isn't it? It does help you keep on going.
Yeah.
When the going gets tough and all that.
Yeah, well, I do know that Churchill said, "If you're going through hell, keep going." Yes, and I actually had that pinned up on my computer screen.
That sounds like a great fridge magnet.
Yeah. I used to surround myself with these things because they were my inspiration to just, keep at it.
I think it's I suppose we're at risk of putting people off who are thinking of starting a business, but both you and I have, and millions of others have too. It's incredibly rewarding, but you can't expect it to be easy. Some people seem to land on their feet very quickly, and best of luck to them. But that's not the norm, is it? There is a lot of hard graft
Yeah, and I think that it's good to have a vision for yourself. And I talk in the book about putting a vision board together so that, you've got something that you're working towards. I also think it's important that you enjoy the journey. And one of the things that I've identified amongst the most successful business people that are in my peer group, and I was lucky that I found something that my competencies lent into, was that everybody had got a business that they enjoyed. And now I don't think that's because it was their hobby, but it was...
there's almost could work against you. You could lose your hobby.
Very much so, yeah. And I do say, there's four sorts of business, really. There's a hobby business, there's an idea business, which you're probably not overly emotionally involved in. It's just a good idea to solve a problem. There's a competency-based business, and I think my business was competency, really, communication. I was always told off for talking too much at school, and then I find a business where the more I talk, the more money I make.
Brilliant. I bet a few people would like that.
Yeah. There's a thing in recruitment where they always say the more time you spend on the phone, the more successful you'll be.
Really?
So
there's a correlation.
Yeah, there you go.
So what sort of response have you had to the book?
I've had a really terrific response, actually. And I think one of the biggest accolades that I could have was, but I'll just rewind the story a little bit. About 15 years ago, I picked my daughter up from school, and I had to go and collect something from the office on the way. And I was listening to a Brian Tracy CD in my car. Now, for those of you that don't know, Brian Tracy was like the forerunner of positive thinking, and he was like a guru speaker. Along the lines of a Tony Robbins or a Robin Sharma.
Before his day, yeah.
And I had this on in the car, and my daughter, who was probably about sort of 9 or 10, was sat listening to it, and I felt it was good to brainwash my kids with this sort of thing as early as possible.
And positive thinking.
Absolutely, and I think it's rubbed off on them. It's not hurt.
I should imagine it definitely has. Yeah.
And when we pulled up, she said, "I wouldn't let anyone that works for you listen to this CD, Daddy, because it'll give them ideas." And that stuck with me. I did chuckle a little bit. Fast forward to me writing this book, and a friend of mine who is immensely successful, who has just got the most voracious appetite for business I've ever met, who has built and sold businesses and then buys more and starts more, and he absolutely loves it, and he's eye-wateringly successful. He read it, and he's got a number of managing directors that run companies for him, and he said, "I was going to give this book to all of the managing directors that run my companies for me, but I don't want to give them any ideas." So
history repeating.
I just thought, well, that's the best compliment I could receive.
Yeah, brilliant. Excellent. Well, you better wave it in front of the camera, and we'll give it a bit of a name check then. What's it called? It's called Start and Build a Successful Business. There you go. Available at all good bookshops, or at least on Amazon anyway?
Amazon. It's self-published.
So tell me a bit about that then. If somebody's thinking, I've got a book in me and I want to write it, maybe it's about business, maybe it's about their hobby or their passion.
Yeah.
How easy have you found that process?
I think I first started to try and write this book about, I'm going to say 10 years ago. And I've scribbled down a few paragraphs many times and then forgotten them, put them in a drawer. And then I'll be completely honest. One day I was looking for something with great urgency online, and an advert popped up, and it was for a self-publishing course. Now, I was really busy, and I had to get this thing done urgently. An hour later of listening to this pitch on this video, on this advert, I'd signed up for a course, and it's run over in America, but you do it online.
Yeah.
And it's for self-publishing, and it does use some AI. So it makes your life a lot easier because you put the bits in that you believe are important, and then it fleshes it out. And then there's AI in there that does your grammar checks and your editing. So all the things that either make writing a book extremely laborious or would just stall you in your tracks are all kind of covered there. The other thing is it's a really good set of tutorials on how to navigate Kindle Direct Publishing, how to navigate the Audible version, which will be My next project will be to read this on Audible.
Yeah.
And without that, I don't think I would have made it through.
Interesting. So it almost acts like your editor and your publisher and all the humans that would normally be involved.
Yes.
It does that bit for you.
And if anyone out there is looking to create any form of business that has a tutorial model, then that particular course that I followed was exemplary.
Really?
So forget the fact that it was for writing a book.
Yeah,
it was a really well put together. It's called publishing.com. I don't mind name checking them.
Yeah, well, you've got some benefit from it.
Yeah. But I think they sell it as a way to make money, and you can have a different income stream.
How's that going?
Well, I'm glad I don't need the money.
Very honest.
I think it's quite. I think if you follow what they say, I'll be careful how I phrase this, but if you follow what they say to the letter, then I am sure that you would have some opportunity to make money from it. But when I add up all the costs of all the things I've done to create this book, I'll have to sell a lot of books to get my money back.
It's not your pension plan just yet then?
No. And it wasn't my reason.
That wasn't the reason you did it? No.
I just saw that as that's the way I'll finally get to publish this book that I've tried and attempted to write many times before.
As well as helping others, do you think it's helped you? Has it helped you crystallise your thoughts or reflect in a way that you didn't expect?
Yeah, very much so. And, I've really jumped out of bed early every morning to get stuck into this. And, I've wanted it to be a good book because I've wanted to give value. And I think any person in business that endures for 30 years or however long, I think if you are driven by giving value to your customers, then you're always going to, that's resilience in itself.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to create something off the cuff very quickly that just hopefully turns a coin, because it's got to turn a lot of coins.
Sell a lot of them.
Yeah.
Well, it is sort of still tail end of holiday season, so you never know. If someone's going on a flight soon, they could get their copy from Amazon.
Yeah.
Start and build a successful business.
Well, the other thing that might have put me off in the past was this idea of getting a pile of books published and having them in a spare room and then posting them out when I get an order or taking them to the Amazon depot, which I know people have done in the past. There's a thing now where it's order to print.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to buy that book on Amazon,
they'll print it for you.
They'll print it and you'll get it tomorrow.
Print on demand.
Print on demand,
Isn't it incredible, really, how it's so many things
it's an enabler, isn't it? Because, again, I come back to, someone like me would probably never actually got that book into, paper.
Good. I'm not sure if this episode is as much about self-publishing a book or is the business advice that's within it, but both are very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very good.
But, again, why did I do it? I didn't do it for this reason, but you do something like that and then it creates a catalyst for conversation. And here I am talking to you, which I may or may not have had the opportunity to do without that.
So, well, we say that about even doing the podcast. It allows you to open conversations that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So it's been good for that. That's good. I think we'll have to have you back on as well, because in the preamble before we started recording, you were telling us about a new AI product that you were developing for your business, which in a way is a bit like you've just talked about with publishing.com, where it's using agents to help you through the process, even though you've still got to do the work. You're trying to apply that same type of thinking to the recruitment model.
Absolutely.
And it could be quite game-changing, the way you're changing the whole charging structure around how recruitment works. And you take out the bits that can be taken out using AI agents and just use the experts when you need them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that comes to pass. That's not yet available, but...
No, I think we're a couple of months away. But like that publishing package has democratised self-publishing, what we're looking at is a product that we're basically going to democratise recruitment for small businesses.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, definitely stay tuned then. Well, thank you very much, Steve. That's brilliant.
Thank you very much for having me.
Share your thoughts. Not at all. That's great. And thank you for listening to another episode of the SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow. As ever, we always say if you found that interesting or you think someone else you know might be interested in what we've been talking about, then please send them a link or just mention it to them in the pub. And in the meantime, good luck with your business.